And we are live in living color right here, folks, from the Sports Talk Nation here on YouTube. Glad you could join us here today. Michael Cohen here with you on the Open Mic program. Well, folks, glad you could join us as we're going to begin our picks for week number 7. That is right, week number 7. We are almost at the halfway point of the 2017 NFL season, believe it or not. Oh, here's the interesting note here is before we get into the picks, gotta talk a little bit about what happened last week, especially after that hideous non-touchdown call against the Jets in the game against the Patriots. As we all know, Austin Seferian-Jenkins made the catch, bobbled the ball as he was heading for the end zone, then appeared to regain possession, then hit the pylon, fall into the end zone, roll over, and still hold on to the football, and it was called, initially, a touchdown. And all of a sudden, the Jets, who were down at one point 24-14, were now down 24-21, potentially. But the officials decided, as we all know, to overturn that ruling. Mr. Tony Corrente and his crew saying that Austin Seferian-Jenkins bobbled the ball and never regained possession, and that it was obvious. Obvious? What in Ripley's Believe It or Not are we talking about? Anyone who has seen that replay over and over again from any angle possible that was provided by CBS can't tell that Jenkins lost the football a second time. We all see that he bobbles the football initially. We all see that he gains possession of the football again before he hits the pylon. Never does anybody see, or anyone has told me anyway, or from what I saw, or anybody for that matter in conversations I've had with people, can tell that he bobbled it a second time. Yet to Tony Corrente, it was obvious. I don't think so. It was a blown call by the officials. It should have stayed a touchdown. But that is what we have here when you are in the Roger Goodell NFL. In the Roger Goodell NFL, where anything goes. In a league that is losing ratings, it is losing money, with fans protesting protesters, we still have officials who screw up and screw up badly. And of course, this has to happen with the Patriots involved. What doesn't happen when the Patriots are involved? We've had Spygate, Deflategate, and now we got Touchback-gate. In fact, the refs were so inconsistent in that game, they flagged Jamal Adams for pass interference when it was pretty clear that Rob Gronkowski was mugging him down the sideline into the end zone. And then they picked up the flag after Devin McCourty turned himself into a heat-seeking missile into Robbie Anderson's face mask area, and they picked up the flag for that. Boy, oh boy, these guys are just too inconsistent. Only the NFL refs, no, only the New England Patriots. They seem to always get the breaks all the time when it comes to the refs. In fact, I know people who actually believe that this was a conspiracy. That is true. There are people who actually believe that this was a conspiracy. So I guess that means we can chalk this one up there with aliens, the Loch Ness Monster, and Sasquatch. Congrats, Roger Goodell. Only you could make something happen like this. I won't go as far as to say it's a conspiracy, but I will say this. The referees continue to hurt the credibility of the National Football League with their horrendous calls, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. Now, with that being said, let's make this transition to these games. We got 8 games that we're going to select here today, folks, on this Open Mic program for our preview of the Week 7 of the 2017 season. We'll start things off as we transition over to the Jets and the Dolphins. As I said, the Jets coming off of that horrible loss to the Patriots last week. The thing with the Jets is this: can they get past what happened last week against the Patriots? That's going to be the key for them. Are they a talented team? Not really. Are they a good team? Not really. They have been a surprising team so far this year, and they have a chance this weekend to go into South Beach and sweep the Miami Dolphins for the season. Will it be easy? Absolutely not. One thing the Jets have to do is they have to find a way to establish the run. They're going to get Bilal Powell back this week, which is a positive. Powell did a very nice job against Miami just a few weeks ago, but they have to find a way to get this running game going. It has stalled over the last couple of weeks, especially against the Patriots last week. They have to run the football against Miami and against that number 4 ranked rush defense, which is a very good rush defense for the Miami Dolphins. And they have to find a way to get this receiving core, which has really been the most solid piece for this Jet team so far this year, heavily involved. Jermaine Kearse has had a great year this year. Robbie Anderson, Jeremy Curley, and of course Austin Seferian-Jenkins. All those guys have done an outstanding job so far for a surprising Jets team. Turnovers are going to be important. Josh McCown has to cut down the interceptions, and the offensive line has got to find a way to buy some time for him in that pocket, because guys like Cameron Wake and Ndamukong Suh are going to be coming for him. Those two guys have combined for 5.5 sacks so far this year for Miami. Now, is Miami a good team? Absolutely not. I know the Dolphins won last week coming from behind against the Falcons, but let's get real. The Dolphins are not a good football team. Jay Cutler has been an absolute disaster down there for the Dolphins. He has turned it over 4 times. He hasn't lit up this offense much at all. If the Dolphins are going to do anything against the Jets, they're going to have to try to find a way to run the football. They didn't do a good job of that last time these two teams met. J.J. only had 16 yards and 11 carries. He has got to have a big game if the Dolphins are going to win this one against the New York Jets. And Jay Cutler, like Josh McCown, can't turn the football over and be the reason this team loses. I could see this being a very low-scoring game. I could see this being a very close game. I really could go either way. I will give the Dolphins a slight edge because they are home, because this is the second meeting between these two teams, and I suspect that Miami is going to make some adjustments from their last meeting against the New York Jets. So I'll take the Dolphins to win, although not by much, 19-17. If you like the color purple, this game is for you. It's the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Minnesota. And this will be a very intriguing game because you have the Ravens coming off of a tough loss they had last week against the Chicago Bears at home. That's just who the Ravens are. They're such a weird team. They're good one week, they're bad the next. They dominate the Raiders on the road a couple of weeks ago, and then they get squashed by the Chicago Bears at home. They're just too inconsistent for words, and they're right now 1-3 at home, 2-0, however, on the road. So maybe it's a good thing that the Ravens are on the road this week. Now, there are a few things that do worry me about this Baltimore team. First of all, you take a look at where they are offensively. They are right now ranked 30th in the league in total offense. They have had a really rough go of it. Joe Flacco, I know the completion percentage is good, but he has thrown 8 picks so far this year and just 4 touchdowns. That's unacceptable, especially for a guy like Flacco, who, yes, I understand he's not Tom Brady. I understand he's not Peyton Manning. He's still a guy who has a Super Bowl under his belt. And you would certainly expect him to play much better than this, but he has had a nightmare so far this year with the 8 picks. They have run the ball well, have the Ravens, this year with Alex Collins and Jarvis Allen. A total of 777 yards rushing this year as a team. So running the football hasn't exactly been too much of a problem so far this year for the Ravens, but throwing the football, being consistent offensively, certainly has been a problem. They haven't gotten to the end zone much at all so far in the 2017 season. This will be a stiff challenge going up into Minnesota against that defense. Minnesota ranked 5th in the NFL in total defense this year. They have as a team 16 sacks. They have forced this year seven interceptions. So they have done a nice job forcing turnovers and getting after the quarterback on the defensive side. Now, what makes this thing very interesting for the Ravens is the fact that at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings is Casey Keenum. If you trust Casey Keenum, good luck to you. Now, I know he's played well so far this year. 5 touchdowns, just 1 pick. And you certainly would take that over Flacco, who's thrown 8 picks. But this is Casey Keenum, so we have to remember that. And the Ravens' defense has been pretty good so far this year as well. They are in the middle of the pack, 16th in total defense, but it is still the Baltimore Ravens defense. You would expect them to play well in this game against Casey Keenum. If the Ravens, I just have a funny feeling with the Ravens that they're going to force some turnovers in this game. I just have a feeling, folks, I just do, that the Ravens are going to come out and play well in this game against Minnesota. I don't trust Minnesota that much at all. I know that they can run the football pretty well with Dalvin Cook. And yes, Keenum has played okay, and they have a good defense. But I just have a feeling that the Ravens on the road will find a way to get a win, and they'll win a close one, 20-17, over the Minnesota Vikings. Let's keep it going here with this AFC North theme, and let's go to Pittsburgh, where the Steelers host the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Steelers are coming off of a very nice win that last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. They won 19-13. There was a lot of negative talk surrounding Ben Roethlisberger after the 5-interception performance he had 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville. He played well last week, threw a pick, but also threw a touchdown, threw for 252. But the biggest key for the Steelers last week was they were able to run the football, and they rammed it down the throat of the Kansas City Chiefs with Le'Veon Bell running for 179 yards. It is no coincidence that when they have run the football well this year, the Steelers have won games. They ran for $144 with Bell against Baltimore. They won the game. They ran for 87 yards with Bell and won against Minnesota. And when he has not run the football well, they are 1-2. So when he gets under 80 yards, they are 1-2 so far this year. Against the bumbling Bengals, I fully expect Le'Veon Bell to have a pretty good game. Bengals have had a hard time stopping the run so far this year. 3.8 yards a carry they are allowing so far this year. They've given up 3 rushing touchdowns. And the Bengals overall this year have been really, typically inconsistent. I know that they have played well last couple of weeks, but look who they beat. They beat the Browns, and they beat the Bills. Not exactly great competition there. I fully expect the Bengals to come back to reality here in just a little bit and suffer a defeat at the hands of the Steelers. Now, this is a very good rivalry. These two teams do not like each other. We've seen these two teams come to near blows at times over the years. Even had that epic playoff game a couple of years ago in Cincinnati. But this will be about the Steelers trying to prove something at home in front of their fans. They let their fans down a couple weeks ago. They will not do that here. And I expect the Steelers to come away with a win. I say Pittsburgh takes care of business 27-20 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Game number 4, let's go to the Colts and the Jaguars. That game will be in Indianapolis. Now, the big key here for this game is the fact that it looks like Leonard Fournette is going to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They really need him in this game. He had that ankle injury last week for Jacksonville in their game last week against the Rams. The game they lost 27-17. If Fournette is able to go, and it sounds like from what I've seen here that he is going to play, that is a huge difference maker for Jacksonville. Now, the Colts have been an absolute nightmare so far this year when it comes to stopping the run. They're right now ranked 20th in the NFL in stopping the run. They're giving up 4.1 yards a carry so far this year, and a total of 685 yards. That's 100 yards more than what they're rushing for right now for the Indianapolis. So if Fournette is ready to rock and roll, I will rock and roll with the Jaguars in spite of the fact that Blake Bortles is the quarterback here. I don't like either quarterback on this team. Bortles is too inconsistent for my money with Jacksonville, but I'm on the road with Jacksonville against a bad team in the Colts. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts win because Brissett, the quarterback for the Colts, certainly is better than Bortles, which isn't saying much. And I would not be shocked if the Colts, who played well last week against Tennessee, had a chance to win that game against the Titans, wouldn't be shocked at all if they find a way to pull it out. So I expect this game to be tight. I expect this game to be tight and close. But I just like Jacksonville's defense. I mean, they've been tremendous so far this year. Calais Campbell already has 8 sacks. He's already possibly a defensive player of the year candidate right now. They have 23 sacks as a team defensively. They get after the quarterback. They force turnovers. They have a +6 turnover ratio, which is better than anybody in the NFL right now. I like the Jaguars from that standpoint. Close game, 20-19. Moving right along to San Francisco, it's the Cowboys and the 49ers. No, we have not taken a time machine. We have not gone into the DeLorean, and it's not the 90s again, although I think the 49ers kind of wish it was the 90s again. Heck, I think the 49ers wish it was the 80s again, when they were actually good. But it's not the 90s anymore, and of course it isn't Steve Young against Troy Aikman, but it is Dak Prescott against Brian Hoyer? No. C.J. Beathard? Who? C.J. Beathard. That is correct. C.J. Beathard will be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers after he played well last week against the Washington Redskins, threw for 245 and a touchdown against the Skins. And already 49er fans going crazy that this is the next Joe Montana. I saw it all over Twitter on last Sunday. The fact that he wears number 3, which was Joe Montana's number in college. He wore 16. In college did Beathard, which, as we all know, 16 was Montana's number in San Francisco. Let's take it easy. Pump the brakes just a little bit. It was just one half of one game. Chill out. It will not be that easy for C.J. Beathard this week. I know the Cowboys have had their issues, and they've had a lot of them, especially with Ezekiel Elliott. Whether he's going to play, whether he's not going to play, whether he's going to be suspended, not suspended. From what I understand right now, he is going to play in this game for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what happens on that front as far as the legal terms are concerned. But the Cowboys are better with Elliott running the football than without him. And certainly Dak Prescott, considering how inconsistent of a year he's had this year, really could use his steady running back behind him in this football game against a 49ers team that really isn't that good. I know the 49ers have been somewhat competitive. They've been close in a lot of these games, but let's get real. The 49ers are still a ways away from being a really good team again in the NFC West. Maybe one day they will be. Maybe CJ Beathead will be the next Joe Montana or Steve Young sometime down the road. Who knows? That's for another time, another place. But what I do know is this. The Cowboys right now has 16 sacks as a unit defensively. DeMarcus Lawrence is playing out of his mind. He's got 8.5 sacks so far this year. You got Malik Collins with 2.5 sacks. So it's going to be tough on Mr. Beathard in this ball game for the 49ers, as he's going to have to go up against that Dallas defense. And I expect the Cowboys to make some plays. It's been a rough year for Des Bryant. He has not gotten off to a good start this year. Only 264 yards receiving. He and Dak Prescott, and this was even the case last year, they just don't have really good chemistry. They really don't. I mean, you take a look at the stats for Des Bryant when Dak Prescott has been the quarterback. It hasn't been that impressive. So we'll see if he can get going here, see if Jason Witten can get going, and if the Cowboys can start to figure the things out. They have had, and like I said, a rough start to this season, 2-3 on the year. Had that bad loss to the Packers with that Hail Mary by Rodgers at the end of the ball game into the end zone to win it. They lose a shootout to the Rams before that. They got smashed around by the Broncos in Week 2. They really need a stabilizing game, and I think this is that game for the Dallas Cowboys. I see Dallas winning, getting back to 500, and they will take care of business against San Francisco. My prediction, Cowboys 32, 49ers 17. Now let's book it back to the East Coast, and let's go to the Meadowlands, and that's the New York Football Giants against the Seattle Seahawks. The Giants coming off their surprising win against the Denver Broncos last week, as they actually played like a team. That's right, I said it. They played like a team, and maybe even Ben McAdoo handing over the play-calling duties to the offensive coordinator played a big part in that, as he is now deciding to be more of a head coach than just focusing all on the offense. It showed last week as the Giants really had their best game offensively. They ran the football pretty well in that football game against Denver. Let me just pull up the exact stats here for you. Yeah, Orleans Darkwa had 117 yards rushing in that game. And even though Eli Manning didn't put up gaudy numbers, he still made the throws count. He got Evan Ingram involved for 82 yards on 5 catches and a touchdown. Really spread the ball out ran nicely with a lot of his young receivers as the Giants trying to figure things out. And they did a nice job doing that against the Denver Broncos last weekend. So can they do that and have a repeat performance against the Seattle Seahawks? It'll be tough. I will say this. I think the Giants can hang around with the Seahawks in this game. I don't trust the Seattle Seahawks, especially on the road. But I will say this. Seattle, I expect them to go in there and to find a way to get a win. They're kind of that team that kind of like grinds things out. Last time I saw Seattle against Indianapolis, they were not playing well for half, then started to grind it out in the second half of that game and figured it out. They did the same thing against the Rams the following week and won 16-10. So I would expect them to play well. Now, what's going to separate Seattle here from the Giants in this football game, in my mind, is what this Seattle defense can do against this New York Giant offense. That's going to be the key here. Plain and simple as that. I don't know if the Giants are going to run the football as well as they did last week against Denver. But then again, if you told me that the Giants were going to run for 117 yards with Orleans Darkwa against the Broncos last week, I'd probably say you were crazy. So anything is possible, as we all know in the NFL. While the Seattle defense isn't Legion of Boom good as it used to be, it's still a good defense. And they're still going to challenge Eli Manning in this football game. And they could still create some problems as far as the pass rush is concerned. Like I said, though, it's not a great unit. It's a unit that can be had. And the Seattle team isn't a great Seattle team. They can be had. I just don't know, considering all the injuries that the Giants have. No Odell Beckham Jr., no Brandon Marshall. The fact that this team's been so inconsistent this year, I don't know if they can put it together for a second straight week. I really would have to see it first. So in a game, let's really see it to believe it. I'll stick with the Seahawks, although I expect it to be a competitive football game. I'll take Seattle 27-23. Now I'm going to jump to Monday night, and that's because the primetime game on Sunday is the Patriots and the Falcons. And I want to save that for last. So the Monday night game, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. Now this is the second time these two teams have met this year. The first time, Eagles won 30-17. Now it was a much closer game than the final score indicated, because the game ended on a fumble return for a touchdown by the Eagles. Other than that, these two teams played a very tight game, and I would expect that to happen here once again. And this game is in Philadelphia, I understand that, and the Eagles have been playing outstanding football. They are 5-1. Maybe the biggest surprise out of the NFC right now is the Philadelphia Eagles. We knew they were going to be a good team. With the additions they made in the offseason, there was no doubt Philadelphia was certainly going to be better. I don't think anyone expected them to be 5-1, except for themselves, obviously. Carson Wentz has had an outstanding start to the year, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks, MVP caliber numbers. LeGarrette Blount has been the addition that they desperately needed. He's done a nice job in the running game, and of course the passing attack. Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, just an outstanding core of receivers, and it'll be tough on the Washington Redskins yet again. Now that defense did not have a good time trying to guard those receivers last time. They were able to slow down Blount. They only held him to 46 yards. But the key for the Redskins in this game is trying to force turnovers. They were -1 in the turnover department against the Eagles last time out, and they've got to find a way to get off the field. They cannot allow Carson Wentz to stand there and make play after play after play in the pocket. They've got to find a way to get off the field and get their offense to football. Kirk Cousins has had a good year. No one really talks about it, but he has had a steadily good year. He's not getting hit at all. He's only been sacked 8 times. He's thrown 9 touchdowns, just 2 picks. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's had a good year. It just seems at times for the Redskins this year that they're always getting kind of snake bit. They got snake bit in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of the game. I know there was the turnover late that resulted in a touchdown there for Kansas City, but there were a couple other plays in that game where there was a lot of misfortune there for the Redskins that they ended up losing that game. The misfortune, the fumble at the end of the game against the Eagles. So they've had some tough losses this year, but they've had some good wins. They had the good win on the road against the Rams, the good win at home against the Raiders. So I could see the Redskins going in there and pulling out the upset. I certainly think it's going to be a close game. Tough spot, but I will stick with the Eagles for this week. I would not be shocked if there's an upset, but I will take the Eagles to win 27-21, a close game, a fun game on Monday Night Football. And now for the coup de grace. That is the rematch of Super Bowl 51, and that is the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. For 9 months, the Atlanta Falcons have had to hear about 28-3. We have seen shirts, we have seen mugs, we have seen everything regarding to the blown Super Bowl, and the score 28-3, which is the lead the Falcons had with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go. And we all know what happened. The Patriots came all the way back, forced overtime, and won the football game 34-28. Everyone remembers how that ended, of course, with Matt Ryan and the fumble against Devontae Hightower when he sacked him, caused a big fumble, and what was really a big turning point in that game, in that Super Bowl. You go to the Julio Jones catch that he had down the sideline, and then the Falcons screwed it up with some terrible play calling and got themselves out of field goal range with a couple of bad sacks and a penalty. We all know how things blew up for the Falcons. And so far this season, it hasn't gone according to script for Atlanta either. After winning the first 3 games, they have lost 2 straight games to the dreads of the AFC East, and that's the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, both at home. How does that happen? And they had a 17-0 lead against the Miami Dolphins and blew that. Well, it's easy to sit here and knowing that the Falcons have blown 2 straight games against the Dolphins and the Bills, and knowing that this is a tough spot for them in New England against the Patriots, the defending champions, to pick against them and take the Patriots. It's a very easy spot to do that. But there's something about the Patriots that, I don't know, I don't think they're that good. Yes, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's the Hall of Famer, one of the best all-time, if not the best all-time. He's going to find guys that are open no matter what. He'll Brandon Cooks, Rob Gronkowski, Chris Hogan, they'll get their yards, and they'll probably get their touchdowns, and they'll probably have a good game on the offensive side. But defensively, the Patriots are still one of the worst units in the league. Last I checked, they were still 32nd in the league in total defense. This unit stinks, and it's going to give the Falcons a chance in this football game. I don't know what it is, but sometimes with teams that have their backs to the wall, you have to give them a chance. And I just have a feeling that this could be one of those games where you have a team that is desperate for a win in the Atlanta Falcons, going on the road in a tough spot when everyone's counting them out against a team that has, I wouldn't say owned them, but in this case has owned them as far as the Super Bowl is concerned and all the nightmares that the Falcons have had. I could see Atlanta playing well in this game. I really could. Because if the Falcons lose, their season's going to spiral out of control. It will. Trust me. That locker room will start to fray apart if they lose this game against the Patriots. So this is a must-win game for the Atlanta Falcons. They can't afford to lose it. For the Patriots, like I said, they haven't been that great. They could have easily lost to the Jets if the Jets didn't shoot themselves in the foot in the second half, and of course got some help from the officials in that game. They could have lost to the Buccaneers had the Buccaneers nailed a couple of those field goals. This is not a perfect Patriots team by any stretch of the imagination, and they have not played well at home. They lost to the Panthers at the start of the month. They then lost to the Kansas City Chiefs to start the season at home. Both of those two teams scored well over 30 points. Kansas City scored 42, Carolina 33. And they almost lost to Houston in Week 3 at home. So they have not been a good home team this year, the Patriots. So, all that considered, would I be shocked? Do I expect the Patriots to win this game? Yes, I expect the Patriots to win this game. But I'm going to go with the upset because I think motivation, desperation, and hunger are going to play a big role here for the Atlanta Falcons in this football game. And I'll say the Falcons get some revenge and some needed revenge against the Patriots, and they shock everybody and win 31-28 over the defending champions. All right, folks, those are my picks here for week number 7. Again, follow us on the social media on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, and on Twitter, @OpenMicNJ on Twitter. And remember, right here in the Sports Talk Nation, like and subscribe, and you can catch the latest videos that we have coming up for you in the coming days and weeks. As I said at the top, we'll do some more baseball stuff as we get into the World Series beginning early next week. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.